right.
So maybe.
We're live.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the Glens Falls Board of Public Safety. It's 4 o'clock Wednesday, October 11th. We'll begin by calling this meeting to order, and I think the first up we'll do is open the meeting to any public comment. Anybody would like to address the Board of Public Safety, please come forward and give us your name and address. Yeah. We get to be on camera again. How are you?
I'm tired to see you.
Oh, no, it's good to see you. Good to see you.
Joe Maglione, 68 Webster Avenue in the city here. I'm here to address the board. Last month, you guys passed a motion to have dedicated bike lanes on Webster Avenue and no parking for residents on the street. Well, a lot of us object to that. We took the petition around, we handed it in last night. We got over 73 signatures and there's not one person in favor of dedicated bike lanes and the no parking. On Webster Avenue, about 90% of the homes have a single lane driveway with multiple cars. So people are always jockeying cars in and out of driveways to park on the street so they can get each other out. That would be a problem. Also, the stay home down on the corner of Webster Court and Webster, the employees park on the street, the visitors park on the street, they're using that's ramped up again to full capacity. So that would be a definite problem because there's not enough room on Webster Court to get a fire truck, police car, anything in there. And what we'd like to see is the sharrows. We have no problem with the sharrows and the parking on the street. So I'm here just pleading with you. If there's anything you guys could do for us, we'd appreciate it. I know the whole street does not want the dedicated bike lanes. And the mayor, he can fill you in even more because it's been going on for two council meetings now. That's all I have. Thank you. Any questions or?
No, we didn't, I can say this though, Joe, we didn't realize what the residents were what they were gonna say. Okay, we did tentatively approve this at the last meeting. Since that time, I wasn't aware of what the council meeting was and how much the entire street doesn't want it.
Yeah, it's all.
I didn't understand the sharrows so much, but the sharrows sounds like a reasonable compromise.
We're in favor of the sharrows, and Mayor, I don't know what term they were using last night, traffic calming?
Traffic calming device.
That would be
So
like
you'll see on
a
your
speed bump or something?
on your agenda.
Pillow?
So I'll let Joe finish and with his comment, and then you have on your agenda to talk about traffic calming, potential traffic calming device on your agenda today, and I can also clue you in on what else is going. So
That's all I had. Just I'm sure the whole street would be willing for that because people speed down that road now. And as I said at the first council meeting, once that's paved, it's going to be even more so.
Great.
So thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you, Joe.
Thank you. I guess I'm up next.
Sure, please. Hi.
Hi, happy fall, everyone. Laurel Walsh, 14 Hudson. I'm sorry, your name was?
Laurel.
Laurel, L-O-R-E-L-L-E, Walsh. I'm here again. I believe I'm a familiar face from August regarding the commercial buses that are stopping on Park Avenue adjacent to the residential building. I'm wondering, first before I speak, Mayor, if you have an update. I was under the understanding that I was to phone in and we were going to start ticketing said buses. They are not parking in the loading zone because they cannot approach the loading zone. The loading zone doesn't have the proper approach distance, and I have photographs of them parking continually in the street. There is also a new addition to the schedule. The bus stops there at approximately 11:45 a.m., 12:30, 3 o'clock, and the new addition, which I believe is the Montreal bus, at 1:15 a.m. The bus sounds its air brakes. Sometimes it has to back up to maneuver to make the turn on School Street. I value my sleep. We need to find an alternative location for this. until we have a dedicated purchase by said commercial company. I have called in a couple of times to Chief, alerting him, and unfortunately, we just can't really capture this. If we want to make this a reality, it seems to me that we're going to have patrol there awaiting those times. It's a very unsafe location. Do I need to say again why it's unsafe?
No, I think,
I think
I
we
understand your
established that,
concerns.
haven't we?
Everybody understands the concerns, right?
Pedestrians.
You've all
motorists.
seen the photos?
Yeah, now
Yeah, we
sometimes
should-
we stack up. They're stacking up, one instance where they were stacking up 2 buses, blocking our rear parking lot. They're blocking the stop sign. Of course, we talked about the left turn. I don't really think I have to really get into that, do I? So I'm wondering what time frame that we have, that we can, once and for all, rectify the situation. As much as I'd like to see you all, I really don't want to be a Karen about it, okay? I really don't.
Well, sorry, I don't want to interrupt you. Go ahead.
That's it, no.
Great. So, as far as we have an update for the Board of Public Safety that Chief Smith can talk about what we're doing, but we do not have a date. The date is already started. We're addressing, you know what we're addressing. We need you to call. Just this actually situation is the identical one that was faced for the streets for the park, right? So
Park and Elm.
because of on Park and Elm. So it's the exact same thing. We've got people saying there's an unsafe situation, and we address Park and Elm. You changed the law and made no parking, no standing on either side of that road. Then the law was the first change. Second is that the bus companies ignored the law and continued to do it, and we asked residents to call us, and as soon as we did, and it took months of us addressing that and ticketing people and with the resources that we have. So what we have with the 14 on the other side of Park Street now, those buses have moved and selected a loading zone that is a loading zone, but they're in many cases not actually parking in the loading zone. And so we have photographs. You've gotten the photographs of the buses out in the street. We have photos with the fire truck heading one direction and the Greyhound bus in another direction. So what we're asking is any residents that notice anybody parking illegally on that street, not in the loading zone, to call us immediately so we can ticket them. It's going to take months again to, what happens, what I can tell you has happened in the past is that until we can get those drivers, the Greyhound will not pay their drivers' tickets. And so it takes them to get several tickets before those drivers start paying attention to that. And so that is where we are with that.
Excuse me, does
Sure.
that mean, so in other words, that ticket would be a moving violation, and then those drivers will be put out of service if they have accumulated a certain amount of moving violations?
I don't know. They're gonna get, if they're parking, if they're stopping in the middle of the street. Chief, you wanna tell me what that ticket would be?
It's just a parking ticket for, parking illegally, it's not a moving violation.
All right,
So it's just a fine.
yeah,
Just
and,
fine.
yeah, and
There's
so
no
that's,
points for that.
Even in a
right,
no
Chief?
parking zone?
No,
Or
you
no
understand
standing
that?
zone?
There's no points for that parking ticket.
right.
I didn't know. I would have to look up for a commercial driver. Commercial drivers sometimes have a whole different set of rules.
Yeah, well, what we did is, we have experience with this. Again, they were parking and no standing, illegally parking, and that seemed to stop it. It took about, how many months from when we changed the law to the fact that they stopped parking illegally? I'd say, my guess is about 3 months.
Consistently writing tickets about 4 months.
Okay, and so, and so we have no other recourse. It is not illegal for them to park in that loading zone. And they're not parking in the loading zone, and that's why it's illegal. The point is that they might respond with actually parking where it's so funny because, not funny, strange. because they literally could park legally 20 feet ahead of where they are and park in the loading zone, and they're not. They're actually stopping in the middle of the street, or maybe they are sometimes, but not others.
Right, but the danger with that is they're blocking the stop sign, and they're blocking the visibility of that, of an intersection.
I'm glad that you
has
think
a stop
that's,
sign.
I'm glad that you think that's a
And
danger.
usually you can't stop within a certain amount of distance or park within a certain amount of the distance from a stop sign because of the sight distance.
What you're saying is, thank you for your comment. They can park in the loading zone legally, and they're not. And when they're not, we're gonna ticket them as best we can. We've also taken some other action, but I'm not gonna respond to.
Have we issued any tickets, chief? Oh, we have not. Okay. You want me to continue to call?
Absolutely.
We only have sometimes a
we need-
5-minute window.
Yeah.
I've made several attempts to
And
do
that,
that.
and that's
Not
gonna,
captured.
it's just like it is. We have one employee who is in our ticket enforcement. He's only Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and he's currently patrolling and ticketing any illegal parking in our downtown.
And
So
what
it's
time
going to
does he go
take
lunch? Does he take a lunch? Maybe that's why we're not capturing it. Maybe he lunches from 12 to 1.
I don't,
Are you speaking of Mr. Mandy? Mr. Mandy no longer,
no, I know, but we just hired our,
we did not.
oh, not yet. Okay, so that's another reason. So when do we interview that person? Do we,
We currently do not have any applicants right now.
oh, we don't?
Correct. We had one that was going through a background process and he withdrew his name.
Ah, okay. So therefore, right now, please call and we'll send somebody over as best we can, right? That's what we do, right? Okay, great. So, you're very welcome. So there is more for you, just so the Board of Public Safety are aware. Chief has called the Rite Aid, and we've identified a place that would be safer than the location next to, on Park Street. We don't like the fact that they're parking there. We did not tell them to park there. So what we did is we've spoken, Chief has spoken to the Rite Aid manager, and they don't have any concern with it. So we've asked, and that should be starting later this month, right? You spoke to,
So Jeff Flagg has been in contact with the Greyhound managers.
yeah,
So they've agreed to park on Washington Street next to the Rite Aid.
Right.
When they can start doing that, I believe, was as early as next week.
yeah, October 20th,
Yes.
is that right? So we are trying to do more, but what we also know is that nothing's foolproof. Like, what they'll do is they're gonna take a sign, they're gonna put up a sign. I think we have there is some sign there that we've asked them that they either put up their own sign or put we would allow them to put their sign on our pole, and I can't remember what the pole is, currently says.
That's a speed limit sign.
Speed limit sign. So we'd allow them to, they've agreed to do it, but we also know that sometimes their drivers don't go where they've instructed them to go. So nothing's foolproof, but we are doing our best to stop that, and we will take down their sign. We've asked them to take it down, but we'll also take down their sign if they don't. All right?
Yeah, they have to put it on their website, Mayor, so that passengers know where the stop is. So 14 Hudson is a stop, but people sometimes find it hard to find it.
Yeah.
Because it's a little obscure.
Absolutely.
But they have to put it on their website so that passengers know where the bus stop is.
Mr. Flagg is giving the managers the coordinates to
Uh-huh.
Washington Street, so that's how they use it.
Awesome.
So,
Okay.
and then place that on their website.
Yeah, Washington has a much better site because it's very wide, it has good location. All right, I appreciate that.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Any other public comment? Chip, you don't have any, no, I'm just teasing, sorry. Number 2 is a resolution to approve the minutes of the September 13th, 2023 meeting of the Board of Public Safety.
May I make one correction, please? I'm sorry. In the, after Resolution 138, it's Sanford Street and Cameron Avenue where the foliage was, and we asked to have it. Or is it
Oh,
different?
okay.
Yeah,
I think, was
just-
it-
You had Cameron Avenue. It's on Sanford Street. The house was located on
138?
Sanford Street. It was right below 138. You have a comment where Commissioner Tambrielden discussed the house.
Oh,
located.
okay.
It's Sanford Street.
I gotcha, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That
anything-
that was it,
anything-
and I
anything
thank
else?
you for that.
So with that amendment, do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll move that.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Resolution 3 is a resolution to approve the request for the street closure on Church Street between Maple and Warren Street on December 2nd from 4:30 to 11 p.m. for the St. Mary's 175th Anniversary Gala to be held in the Great Hall at St. Mary's Academy. Volunteers will erect and man the barricades for safety. No activities will be set up in the street. They're just looking to add parking and easy access to the school by closing the street for the elderly and physically challenged attendees. Attendance of 200 people is expected. Any questions? Motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. 4 is a resolution to approve a request by the Adirondack Runners to hold their annual Goblin Gallop 5K race on Saturday, October 28th from 2023 from 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. The race will be a loop beginning and ending at the Abraham Wing School. Volunteers will man the corners and route for safety. The race is expected to have 150 up to 150 entrants. Question?
Every year they do this, they do a great job.
They do a great
Yeah.
job.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. 5 is a resolution to approve a road closure on Oakland Avenue from Friday, November 3rd, 2023 at 2 p.m. through midnight, Saturday, November 4th at 2023 for the annual Adirondack Stampede Rodeo. The road will be closed from US Route 9 to Fredella Avenue with barricades manned by the event personnel for safety. Finch Praper has been notified and will work with the rodeo as in previous years. Comment? Again, annual event, they run it well, safe, leave the area for fire personnel if needed.
Very well run.
Do we have a
I'll
motion?
make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. 6 is a resolution to approve CDTA's Transit Authority proposed additional bus route stops in the, bus route stops in the city of Glens Falls upon merging with the GGFT on or around January 1st, 2024. More than 90% of the stops are existing GGFT stops, and the CDTA has proposed enhancing the system by adding new stops for convenience and safety. The list has been added. The list of added stops has been analyzed and approved by the city engineer. Wanted you all, again, the key here is that they've been stops, but they haven't been well signed. We just, because we're Glens Falls, right, you just got to know that the stop would be on Glen, between Bay and around this street, right? And CDTA doesn't operate that way. They're asking for permission to put a sign in there and say this is where the stop will be. And they've looked at adding some. I gave the list and had them meet with our engineer. He's approved this. Sounds like it's great. No concerning new stops. Just wanted you all to be aware of it and be able to ask any questions.
When the
Yes.
CDTA does not accept flag stops, Glens Falls Trent used to be able to flag them down, and that was a safety hazard. So they've added all those signs. They rode the buses. They found where people were getting off. And Brian Green, he's this district safety manager for CDTA, did a lot of this. So we met with them, and I just want you to know that. They seem like they're really... Additionally, they have cameras in the buses that they volunteer to let the police department use. They look outward and inward. If there's an accident, they may capture something that could help the police. They would then talk to Chief Smith and volunteer their services. They really, sounds like a good deal.
Yeah, it does.
Will we lose any parking spaces because of these stops?
That's a good question. Pretty much where they are now, they moved a few around for safety. Some of them are going to be in front of residences actually, where they're just going to put a pole. And if it was parking, they would just lose it for the few minutes that the bus was there, I imagine, until it left.
But I mean, it's not gonna be parking prohibited because it's a bus stop?
No.
No, and it's understood that if the bus, goes to pull up to that stop and there's a car parked there, they'll just go to the next available area. But it allows them to have a regular place where they don't normally just take the wave stops. So they're not asking us to designate those spaces as no parking.
I move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Next is, 7 is new business. A discussion of potential traffic calming devices along with Webster Avenue in conjunction with the pavement preservation project. So allow me just a little bit of latitude and give you an understanding of, so in every other preservation project that we've had, when it comes to Maple Street, when it comes to Dix Avenue, when it comes to Murray Street, right? I believe you know this process, but let me clarify it, because when the concerned residents from Webster Avenue asked to come to the to come to the Common Council to express their concerns, it became then that I became aware that really public comment, although welcome at the Board of Public Safety meetings, is not entered into your decisions. It hasn't been, and it isn't. I'll give an example of, as I've learned and dug into this more to try to understand why we do what we do. I'll give you the example of the planning board. The planning board decides that somebody has to, say, subdivide a piece of property. The planning board would, that subdivision would go in front of the planning board, right? That somebody would come to the building and codes and say, I want to subdivide my property, I've got this empty lot. And the planning board would then put that on their agenda, and public notice is made, and so I say I want to subdivide my lot. Well, public comment is part of that. But the planning board cannot and would not change their opinion, their proposals. They're not supposed to. It's set up that there's certain reasons that the planning board would deny, or meaning the setbacks that are outlined in the code met. Is the house within the is the proposed building within the nature of the neighborhood, right? And so, but people come and could say, hey, I think this is a really bad idea. This has been an empty lot since I was a kid, and this is going to be right next to my house, and they want to build another house here. Well, the planning board can listen to that, but they're not supposed to change their opinions or their findings, because it's very clear as to what they would do that. The same is true for the Board of Public Safety. Board of Public Safety looks at the public right away. And what you did was, we had a meeting in which there was a presentation by Creighton and Manning. And that was publicly noticed. And although a lot of people, to be fair, don't pay attention to the public notice of the planning board, they also aren't paying attention to the public notice of the Board of Public Safety. I would like to say that wasn't true, right? But it is true. And so the Board of Public Safety has, for all those things, weighed. So we hire a civil planning engineer. They are guided by the public right of way, by the building, and they're guided in their actions also by help me chief, I'm trying to, the Complete Streets policy that you're all familiar with, and the manual state traffic control device that you're all, and that's what, so they say, hey, this meets those funding requirements. Here's 2 options for the Board of Public Safety to consider. You're also aware, which many of the residents on Webster Avenue weren't aware of, that the city is looking at complete streets, right? Created a complete streets policy, and has been asked by the Glens Falls Bike Group, by the AGFT, at looking at making our streets more pedestrian safety. One of the things that is not in your purview is, what would the residents that are in front of that property in favor of? That you would certainly listen to it, you'd have it, but it's not within your, right? You don't make you're not making those recommendations based on what would the person in front of it, right? If this is about sidewalks, you really can't make a recommendation. Many people, if we were going to put in sidewalks and in front of, let's see, they put new sidewalks on Hunter Street, right? And so you're aware of those projects, but we don't really weigh in, and we don't ask the neighbors, and my neighbors right on Hunter Street, well, what size sidewalk should we put in? right? What do we use? We use the public right-of-way access guideline that says that anytime we're replacing sidewalks now, whether they're 3 feet or 4 feet, depending on how old they are, right? But the new guidelines say 5 feet. And so we have an obligation to approve sidewalks only of 5 feet. And that might take up somebody's property, right? And nobody's happy about it. And nobody would vote for it. My experience, I'm using some general terms to help you understand it. So you made a recommendation based on public access guidelines. You met with Creighton and Manning, they outlined them. And we also know, so that your experience as a runner, my experience as a runner, your experience in using this area, is that Webster Avenue is one of the most traveled pedestrian roadways in Glens Falls, right? We all knew it. It was one of the reasons why it was considered, and its width. And so let me give an example of Maple. So we had Creighton and Manning come, and I was like, well, we need bike lanes, right? The whole object of looking at that project and getting them to do it was because we knew that people wanted to get from this part of downtown down Maple Street to the bike path, so we could get them on the bike path to head up to Lake George. It would be a safe route to do it. So we had Creighton and Manning examine it. And be darned if Creighton Manning didn't come back to us and say, not only can you not put bike lanes on this, but that you really should, if you want to make this as safe as a public right of way, you need to give up, they didn't say it this way, I'm paraphrasing, I hope you'll understand, that you need to give up 75 parking spaces and move the right of way.
I think we know as a board, I don't know if everybody does, that decisions we make or ask, not necessarily a decision, an opinion, is not unlike the decision or opinion we gave whether or not we should have marijuana stores in the city of Glens Falls. It was our opinion. We were unanimous that we didn't want marijuana being sold in the city of Glens Falls. But that's up to the county
That's a
council.
good point, yeah. So they don't always go.
The other issue,
That's correct.
Mayor, is that I think you're coming towards me and saying that this guy approached me, Joe, over here. I was not aware of the meeting of the common council. We made a unanimous opinion, okay, that we liked the bike lane thing and no parking.
That's correct. That we
The
thought that
sheriff-
was the safest for the pedestrians, right? We shared that
Yeah,
experience.
but I'm also understanding what Cheryl is, okay?
Yeah.
The sharing part, because I asked a question about whether I could turn right in the bike lane or I could pull over
Yeah.
and turn, okay? And he answered the question that, yes, you can turn right as long as there's nobody there at the time. So when I heard the results of the people at this meeting, I said, well, what do they want to do? They want to do
Sure.
Sharrows. And what that means is there would be a bike lane, okay? It would be similar to the one by the fire department up there, where they could go down and they would share the lane. So to me, I said, that sounds like a reasonable compromise for these people. And also, it's a totally residential street down there. I don't know how many bikes go up or down. It doesn't really matter if one goes down. All I'm saying is that I should still have the right to change my mind, okay? After hearing what the residents feel up there, they pay taxes up there. Not everybody can be satisfied, I understand that. Are we setting a precedent? That's up to the council.
That's right.
Okay?
Yeah.
But I want to go on the record as saying my opinion has changed, and I agree that we should compromise. That's up to the council though, Joe.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
They
No,
have to
that's-
listen. I'm not deferring.
appreciate it, Bob. I
I'm not
appreciate you
deferring, I'm not
changing your mind.
deferring, wait a minute, I'm not deferring to the residents up there, but there is a compromise here.
That's right.
Yes.
Yep. And
Does
both-
this violate or does this impinge on the safe, what is it,
pedestrian.
pedestrian, what do you call it, safe streets?
Yeah. Nope.
Okay?
That's sidewalks.
No, it's not, no, because I was a runner. All right, I like the idea.
Well, can
I
just-
understand
Yeah.
about, okay, but it's just safety for the bicyclists
I
and
understand.
safety for the runners
Yeah,
and share the lanes, okay?
yes.
That's my position.
Yeah, that's great. And wait, and so and please, I was just trying to get to, it's not usual. Normally, these things, so when it was Maple Street, we render an opinion based on public safety, not necessarily thinking about what the neighbors would want. And that's all I meant, and I was not
No,
singling you out. I was
well,
with
I
you.
wasn't-
So I'm with you,
yeah.
and so we're good. We just didn't, what we didn't do on Maple, all I wanted to make it clear is that I wasn't really clear. Like, my God, did we just do something wrong too by changing? We took parking away from half of Maple, and we didn't ask the businesses or the residents. And what my answer that I came with is no. We made the decision based on what we thought was the best decision for the public right away. And so that stands, and it's great. And in this case, the residents of Webster have chosen what they wanted. They've let the council know. The council is going to vote in the next common council meeting. It sounds to me like they too are favoring right now, because of the strong public input, to go with it. The point that needs to be known is both of the options, because Creighton and Manning knows their stuff and is the experts that they are, pick two things that both meet the federal guidelines and complete street safety.
Because it's wide enough.
Because,
That's the key to the.
it is, but the sharrows would would allow, the sharrows mean that throughout the width of Webster Avenue, that if you're riding a bike, the lanes, they show the whole width that you're riding with traffic. Now, I don't believe, if I'm being honest, I believe that the majority of the people that are going to ride a bike or run are going to run on the side in the area that is now, it won't even, like, it won't have, I don't believe, if you look at their diagrams, they're not going to mark out the parking spaces any better, but there will be a white line, so there'll be that space. That space would be, people could park up to 2 hours without getting tickets. They could actually park longer, we all know that.
Would they have a imprint of a bicycle in there?
On that side,
Yeah.
no, it will be sharrows throughout the whole thing. So
Yeah, but sharrows just mean a white line.
the white line, sharrows mean that in the middle of the driving lane will be two arrows and a bicycle. And so you would be, that's what a sharrow is.
Okay.
And a sharrow is so that you'll have your center line down the middle, your two yellow lines,
Right.
then a driving lane, and then a white line, and nothing will be designated there.
It's a solid white line.
It is a solid white line.
And the
And it-
bicycles are in the driving.
That's correct. And just like now, if somebody is parked on Webster Avenue and they're parked there for 2 hours, they're legally parked. If they're there 8 hours, they're illegally parked, but we just talked about, we have one guy right now that's dedicated to enforcing parking, and he spends all of his time assigned to our downtown. So if somebody is visiting in Webster today, it would be no different, right? They are staying there longer than 2 hours. It's not something that we have time or ability to enforce, and they would. And so the difference would have been that there would have been a bike lane designated there. But would somebody be able to park there? Yes. Would they be enforced? No. If somebody was driving down along that lane, whether it's a parking lane or a bike lane, anybody on a bike's going to go around it. The neighbors, though, were upset, and they didn't want that change. And so that was where we were. That's where we are. I wouldn't be surprised if the Common Council does vote for the sharrows. It seems to be that they're that way. I wanted you to know, though, about the process. In addition to that conversation, anybody have any questions about that? I just wanted, because I wasn't really aware. I know we were making these decisions on Board of Public Safety, but we're not regularly going to everybody and saying, like we didn't on Maple, we didn't on,
I get that.
right? And so it's just not part of the process. And by the way, if we did do that, we'd never put a new sidewalk into this city or a new bike lane.
No,
right?
no.
Because nobody that we know from our experience. So you remember when we looked at Graves?
yeah.
We had the people with the developmental disabilities on Grave Avenue, which has no sidewalks, right? We got people with developmental disabilities walking to community workshop, and they walk down Ridge where they live, and down Graves, and then over to Everett's Avenue where they go to work every day. And they were asking for sidewalks. And we reached out to the people. When the people in Graves Avenue became aware that you were looking at sidewalks, they immediately spoke up and said, no sidewalks here, right? And so we know that. We know that anybody who doesn't have a sidewalk today wouldn't vote for one, right? We look at public safety, and we don't necessarily take the desires of the resident that's in front of that public safety. That's all. And we're all good. I just wanted you to know that's where we were. In addition to this, the members of Webster Avenue said that the biggest problem they have was that the rate of speed that people go down Webster, from one end of Webster to the other, that they're going much faster than 30 miles per hour. And so I would like, Chief, did you get a chance to look or not yet? It's okay, I just put this on the agenda.
I just looked briefly at the manual and came up with a few ideas and did some research. I really think it's not really my area of expertise, so maybe the engineers, but I do have a few ideas that came up.
Great. And so let's, Chief, if you could share that with these folks in an email,
Sure.
and then you guys could think about it, pull out your traffic device thing, think what your suggestion would be. I'll also ask Jeremy Schneibel, our engineer, to come. If you could include him on it, Chief, and we'll have a discussion at the next Board of Public Safety meeting to examine what I, again, have learned because of the work you guys do, is that we can't just put a stop sign. Right, if somebody was to bring this new, and I didn't learn what I learned from you guys, is that you might go, hey, let's just in the middle of Webster Avenue put a stop sign there at one of the intersections. And we know we can't do that legally. But Chief will make some suggestions of what the options could be. We could ask Jeremy his thoughts on them, and then you guys could decide. And if so, then we would add them from those things. It could be as simple as, well, I know, see, I don't know what the options are, so I'll let the Chief tell you what he thinks they are. And is that okay?
Yeah.
Any
Yeah,
other
that's good.
questions?
Yes, Mayor.
Yes.
This discussion brings to my, I was very uneasy about the Creighton Manning proposal earlier. But I figured, well, okay, we got these two alternatives. It's well thought out by smart engineers.
Mm-hmm.
And now I realize that smart engineers sometimes forget to talk to the people who live in the area and ask them what's going on and what they see as hazards.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that all of us are smarter than any of us, and that the board is well advised to take into consideration the opinion of the people who live on the ground where the engineers come in and design their lives for them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would think next time engineers show up with a program and give us a choice, do A or B, we should say, well, what do the locals think about it? Have you talked to people on the ground? Because that's part of public safety too.
Okay. Well, I disagree, but I respect that opinion. I certainly could. But remember, what a neighbor would want in front of their thing is based on their want of parking.
Yes,
So,
I
and so the
understand.
fact is that that's not necessarily something the Board of Public Safety would want to consider.
Well, I understand that. You're absolutely right on that aspect. But on the other hand, if you think of what Ms. Walsh has done for us, she's come in and she's identified a serious, legitimate public safety issue, which also annoys her.
Sure.
So we have an obligation to listen to the locals who live there
Sure.
and see if maybe the engineers forgot to talk to the locals.
But he's done, I mean, the council, the board and the mayor, and you and all of us here have got a solid possible solution to your
Absolutely,
problem.
yeah.
Yeah, but I take very much offense at that the bus is even stopping there because it violates your charter, okay?
I don't know
In order for the
anything about
buses to
that.
stop there, the charter needed to be amended, just like it's for taxi stands or the existing
I'm
bus.
only talking about
So, for
trying to
me,
solve this
it
problem.
was,
So, yeah,
I
we're-
was just astounded for this to go on for as long as it has.
So, those are two separate things, let's not, I appreciate it. Mike, we can ask them to do that. I believe that we don't do that on purpose, but I'm okay to, the conversation is a good one to have, right? But I want you to think about it, Mike. There's a reason that all of the neighbors, right now, there's a property, and I don't want to talk about specifics because I don't want to upset people. But there is a piece of property right now on one of our streets that is a double wide property. It's two pieces of property together. They've owned it for 30 years. They've got a beautiful home, and they want to separate their home, right? And the planning board, although they can listen to that public comment, should not weigh in the desires of those neighbors. They need to use the code that says that if it's within the same setback, right? Because none of the neighbors are going to want another home built even if I've owned it for 40 years, built next to my house. If it's been empty, I want it empty. And so I shouldn't be able to tell you, you can't develop another house on your lot. I also should not weigh in on whether there should be a sidewalk in front of my house. I need an independent Board of Public Safety that isn't going to take the desires of the community to make the best recommendation for public safety and the right of way. It's not their property. And so it's not. And so I do appreciate that you want that input. But if you're telling me that when we're going to decide on our next paving project or our next safety issue of crossing, imagine if we just decided recently that we should put a crosswalk because we've got concerns about crossing at Crandall Street, Monument and Crandall. What if the neighbor in front of Monument and Crandall doesn't want that crosswalk there? Should you consider that? I would suggest you should not. I suggest that that's public right of way and that you need to decide what's safest for that. And we're asking you to do it. And if it included a house that you have to live in, you could live on Webster. You're being asked to ignore the fact that you have parking in front of your house and you're afraid of losing it. You're supposed to be weighing in on what's the safest thing for that street. And the public right of way guidelines are pretty clear. That the bike lanes are the safest option of the two for pedestrians.
Yeah, I agree.
And we all, and it is. Now, that doesn't mean you don't take it into consideration. It doesn't mean that the board of the Common Council is voting, and that's great. Both are within the guidelines, both are okay. But, right?
So what, if I may interject, please. Mayor.
Absolutely.
So what, our decision last month, I feel was proper.
I agree.
And as our board,
Yes. Yep.
but we are
That's what we
not
did,
the
yeah.
council people.
That's
We
correct.
are this board
Correct.
who
Yeah, I understand
are
that.
only looking at public safety
That's right.
by rules that have been set, and
That's
we
right.
have to follow.
That's correct.
So that's, and I mean no offense whatsoever.
No, I know.
But that is, we made a decision on what we were given and what we know our guidelines are.
Absolutely.
Then it goes to the common council, who
Right.
despite what we say, make the decision for the
Exactly.
residents
I
of
understand that.
Glens
It's always
Falls.
been that.
That's right. That's correct.
But I just want to clarify that
Right.
everybody
No,
knows
no.
that.
I would like to make a comment on that, if I may.
Sure.
You are the mayor of this city, you're in charge to lead the people. The last public safety board and this one today. I'm sitting here, you're leading them, your agenda, and you want them to go along with you. I personally believe you forced them to vote for the dedicated lanes last month.
No, he
The way you
didn't.
did it. Well, I'm sorry,
So,
that's,
so you know that we didn't.
Joe, I think, if I can comment on this, I think it was, you're entitled to your opinion, but
Yep.
I don't agree with that. I don't know if anybody else does, because I was just trying to understand what this presentation was and grasp this
Yeah.
thing.
I know.
Okay? And we as a board looked at both sides. I personally, the reason I went along with it was because I figured, Webster's a wide street, okay, it's all beautiful homes down there. They've got long driveways and so forth. And, I figured, well, no parking on Webster, I don't think that would be a problem because they've got big driveways down there. And listen, I don't know what the people, I made that decision on what I thought was reasonable at the time, and I also support the safe streets thing with bicycles. There's been a lot of people come in here that are doing everything they can to have bicycles in the city of Glens Falls. And we're trying to make that quality of life decision. But I gotta tell you, I changed my mind. I think I can do that,
I
I'm
appreciate
not
that. My wife and I are bike riders, we have no
Yeah,
problem.
but I mean, we sit here in meetings and don't always agree, okay?
That's correct.
Yeah.
We do, all right? And somebody will go on the record as I don't, and they have the right to do that, okay? I have before, everybody does. By the same token, we also have the right to change our mind, okay? On whether it has any impact or not. We don't control the board or the
Right,
council.
I totally
Okay?
understand.
Do I agree with everything they do? No. Okay?
Sure.
I don't.
Yeah.
Especially the marijuana law, all right?
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Thank you, Bob.
Yeah.
And thank you all, right? You did great. There's no doubt about it, and nobody's saying you didn't. And the council will have that, just as they always do, they'll have that last say, and that's great. They also appreciate it. It was mentioned by Councilman Clark, so they wanted you to know that they respect your decision, but that the overwhelming public desire of the residents who live on Webster, they can consider it. You shouldn't, but they can. And that's what I was getting. And there is actually, I just wanted to give you an overview and tell you where we were. I wanted to make sure that you got from the chief a few options for traffic control devices. I believe that is exactly what we should do, I learned, and I'm bringing to you, that Webster Avenue, the traffic speed is a concern. And I told the council last night that I'd ask you to look at that and make some recommendations. That too would change our law. So whatever it is you decide, whether to do nothing or to pick one of those three, and you'll take the input of our engineer as well. But when that's all decided, that would go to the council for final approval, right? Because that would probably change some sort of, I don't know if it would be in the code, right? Depending on, maybe it wouldn't. So maybe it wouldn't. It would just go straight to you. You'll make a decision and we'll implement it. But anytime it does change a law, it would go to the common council. So I just wanted you to all be aware. I knew that, I don't know if you get a chance to watch every council meeting. I hope that you have better things to do, but I wanted you to all be aware of where we were, okay? And so Chief's gonna send you three different options that would seem to fit within the traffic manual control device law, or manual, excuse me, and then I'll have Jeremy look at them too and give us an opinion from his point of view, okay? For you to consider.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Thank you all. And I appreciate, I hope I showed you what I care. I respect deeply. I just think that it's purposeful that you don't, right? All right. I do. Appointment B, here on this it's not on your business. We have appointments for the Chief Modar to consider. And so, right, Chief Modar? Or,
Yes, sir.
yes. So we have two new firefighters that I want to make sure, because this is so new, I want to make sure I'm not saying something right. We've interviewed, and now it's moving forward to an appointment, if you all agree. One would be Michael Pink, and the other would be
Engineers.
Bartlett. Sorry, what's his? Jody. Jody Bartlett. Any questions?
No, they're solid.
Probably should have two separate,
We'll do them separate, and then the effective date, what was the start date for them? I forgot, I'm sorry, I didn't bring it with me. Do you have it?
It's not next week, but the following.
The 22nd, was it?
Huh?
22nd?
23rd, 22nd. So yes, 23rd and 24th respectively.
Okay, do you know for which is which?
Pink, 23rd?
Yes.
Sorry, Izzy.
pink is the 23rd. Oh, look at you, Tambry, I love it.
And then 24.
24th.
Effective. Okay, and yeah,
And
we'll do
so,
up to two separate.
do we have a
resolutions.
resolution, do we have a motion to appoint Michael Pink as a new firefighter for Glens Falls Fire Department?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And do we have a motion for Jody Bartlett to be appointed as a Glens Falls firefighter?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Under old business, we have A is a recommendation of Commissioner Alden. The flowering plants on Sanford Street and west side of Ridge Street have been pruned and all, allowing for increased line of sight while turning onto Sanford. Is that you want to talk about it, Tambry?
I am very grateful that it was taken care of. My neighbors are very grateful. And I do hope that next year, at the beginning of the growing season, that this will be observed. I will certainly be observing it and addressed earlier. Make sure that it's brought to the attention if need be.
That's great.
Thank you, I do
Yes.
appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome, and I'm so glad that we have, that's why we redid our building and codes department, right? We're starting to
Yeah.
address these things, and as soon as they went, and they had a commitment, and they finished it, they apologized, by the way, just so you know. The residents said they did not realize, they knew it was overgrown, but they weren't paying attention, they did not recognize it as a safety hazard, and so once they did that, they removed it, we didn't have to do it.
Yeah.
That's great work right there,
Yeah.
right? And then further discussion on truck routes. I wanted you, so last month, we talked about Chip was able to find the established truck routes by the state, which I believe that you've been shared that map. I've asked Chief Smith and Chip, and I think we're gonna ask Jeremy Schneibel as well, our engineer, to look at other streets that might be included and how to address. So most of the truck routes right now that are by the state use weight limits, and our police department does not have a set of scales that they drive around with. So I think though in that, what is the name of the document that you made for everybody, Chip?
It's the New York State DOT truck book, essentially.
In that truck book, it does show the different photographs of sizes of trucks. And so I've asked Chip and Chief to work on, and Jeremy to work on some suggestions, like, I'll give you the example of Dix Avenue. Pulled up on Dix Avenue, we've actually moved the stop. If you're coming from Dix to Ridge, you stop maybe 20 yards from the corner so that trucks can get around it. Dix Avenue is not listed under our current truck routes. I believe it's a major in and out access, and so therefore it would make sense that we allow that, right? But then some other neighborhood streets like maybe Webster, maybe Ridge, or excuse me, not Ridge, but it was Hunter, right? Those would be neighborhood streets that we only allow delivery size trucks, right? So we'll bring some suggestions to you for you to consider, and then we would have to rewrite some laws, our local law that says what we'd ask our police department to do if observed, right? Maybe first thing is a warning and second is a ticket. I don't know, but this all comes from local neighbors in the 3rd Ward saying, do we really need full-size trucks driving down this side street, right? And I think the answer is no, or no, we don't want that, right? And so, but we don't have any law to address it. This is the beginning of it.
Do we have a uniform weight limit for all city streets?
I do not know.
Well, the only reason I bring it up is if we were having a particular problem, we could go outside and use a resource for the state.
Correct.
ask the state.
Correct, we can contact the state police who have.
Yeah, I was just thinking that,
Commercial vehicle
Yeah.
enforcement unit.
yeah, they could do it. Yeah, but I don't know what your laws are as it pertains to that. Maybe it's a uniform thing for the state, I don't know. The city might be different.
The city may be different, but
Yeah.
I would defer to the state police who.
Yeah, they've got a scales too.
Yeah, so maybe that in the local law that we write, for persistent problems or, right, or lack of enforcement on certain things, we could ask their help.
Yeah, it's just a
Right,
resource.
so, yeah, or a resource to, right, so, wanted you to know that we're updating, that we're working on it, okay? We're moving forward with it, because we're finding no real local laws written regarding it, okay?
Yep.
All right. Chief Smith's report.
No, I really don't have too much. So in the month of September, the Glens Falls Police Department answered 1,049 calls for service. We 115 arrests and opened 126 new cases. We wrote 72 traffic tickets, conducted 41 accident investigations, and we wrote 37 parking tickets. We're still recruiting for new hires, lateral transfers, as well as a traffic aide and school crossing guards. All those positions have been posted, so we're still working on that. I mentioned this last month, but the 5 recruits that graduated from the academies, they will be off. All of them will be off field training next week.
Wow.
Look at that, huh? 5 new, huh? Filling gaps, great work. Okay.
And the upcoming events for this month will be the downtown boot to you that the police department participates in for the kids. And that's all I have, and I do request a quick executive session.
One more I want to add to Chief, he's too modest. So that will be huge, 5 people coming off, right? And
Yes.
the overtime, it wasn't mandatory, but near mandatory, everybody was pitching in. I'd like to make sure we recognize those officers for their work. It's been fantastic. We need to, it was just approved by the council last night, a new PBA contract that had increases for our police officers to bring them closer to their, for the first time ever, significantly closer to Warren County Sheriff's
Wow.
starting. $3 an hour raise plus 3%.
That's what-
Everybody on the department
I
except
applaud
one.
that.
Right? Everybody in the department except one got that raise, right? So he did not, well, he's not in the union, so
Well, I know
it was
that.
a union thing. And so I am talking to the council about raises for department heads separately. And so I wanted you to all be aware that we're not purposely leaving him out. It was just but we were able to get the common council to recognize that the $7,000 a year starting salary from Warren County was untenable. We continue to train our officers and lose them to transfers. We would be continually at I don't know if I want to say the predator. It's not, I mean, our Warren County Sheriff's been great, but it's still, we're losing people just because, the day that you can start, you can make $7,000 and in many cases doing less work at another police force and so we were able to achieve that. I know you'd want that recognized.
Thank you.
That's good.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Thank you.
council.
You're
Thank
very
you.
welcome, and I will
And
thank the
again,
We
council.
thank the council from all.
I certainly will.
If you
Now we
could
gotta
please-
get the chief a raise.
Yeah, that's next on my agenda.
How much you want, chief?
Ah, that's great. Go ahead, set me right up for failure. I love it. And so the last thing is that with the hiring of, I'm sorry, I've lost it now. We're going to go into executive session quickly. So the new raises were approved by the council. We are going through budgets. Chief is meeting, I don't know if any of you saw on 10 and 13 that the chief and I were on the news about the progress. So his team has done a great job addressing the youth problems on the bicycles. It is kind of crazy that the follow-up story became the story, right? That many people, the original story was people wanting to paint that the Glens Falls Police weren't doing anything about this. We knew that they were, and that they were, and then when we finally updated the story that we did it, that became the story, that we had these arrests, and included 5 or 6 parents in that. And then also I wanted to make sure that you knew that the story about the gentleman that had been assaulted, that there has been success in that as well. It's an ongoing investigation, so details can't be forthcoming, but I wouldn't be surprised in the next couple of days that the news says that there's continuing discrepancies in the story, and I wanted you to know that the fact is there is progress being made. The youth have been identified, and we are addressing it. And I tried to explain that at 10 o'clock last night. And I don't know if that then, well, my statements will become the story. And I hope that you'll understand that I just need to learn when to shut my mouth. So I want to thank him and his team for doing great work.
It's a serious problem.
It really is, right? And thank you.
I have
Nice
asked,
work, Chief.
Chief, I have asked
Yes.
for letters of commendation for all of our police force for all the work that they have been doing in addition to their regular scheduled hours, all the overtime, yourself included. Everything that you've put in has meant a lot and has kept the city safe when our numbers have been down as far as our officers. It's been tough, but I really believe, and I really believe we've done the best of anybody's ability, and I am very grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I agree.
Thank you, Chief. Deputy Chief Modar, you're next up. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a
Chief
motion
Smith's-
to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Sorry. Get ahead of myself, Izzy. Sorry about that. All right.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Steady as the fire department rolls, we run an average of anywhere from 12 to 15 calls a day. For the month of September, it was status quo in that avenue. Nothing major to report as far as the fire side goes, which is good. Nothing was lost, no human life especially. Thank you for the appointments for the firefighter trainee positions. That gives us 2 more on the line. Still leaves us 2 that need to be found. As you know, that process is very slim, just like Chief was speaking of over there. So the test will be announced in November and will be given in January of next year for another group of firefighter trainees as well. Just a little housekeeping, just for those who might be watching. And so when they see the equipment show up in front of the firehouse and start cutting the tree down that's there, just know that half of it is already dead. We're not cutting down the historic tree that's there because we want more sun on the building. We kind of have to do that in order to try to save it. That was a recommendation from the tree service that the city is utilizing. So we're going to be
So remove the dead half and see, hopefully
seal
see
it,
if the
hopefully that it comes back in the spring and has a couple more good years underneath its leaves, and we can replace it with something nice if it doesn't happen that way. But we are trying to save it, just to let everybody know. And the mayor knows as well, as a old assistant chief that I had in Raleigh, North Carolina, would always like to say, you're 30 seconds from CNN News. Well, we got that chance to be worldwide news the past weekend. In fact, our little video snippet on our Glens Falls Fire Department Facebook page had 2.4 million hits already on that video. Wow. of that house that was on fire. We went there, we had a nice conversation with the owner. He apologized for somebody calling in a structure fire on it, but he let us know the schedule, that every Friday and Saturday night, that's their plan, to light it up, if you will, with smoke to make it look like it's a structure fire. But it has had some good reviews. Matter of fact, it's a great time to do this because this is Fire Prevention Month. Matter of fact, it's Fire Prevention Week, if you will. So we have a lot of the kids coming by the firehouse, doing tours, and letting them see the firehouse and the fire trucks. So if anybody drives by and sees it, just let you know that it's over on that side of town, and it is a decoration. Right now, the German TV channel is actually showing it on their side of the world. So something good for them to look at.
Oh, that's awesome. Glens Falls in the headlines.
Glens Falls, that's right. Adding to our benefits of being here. Other than that, that's all I have for the time being. And thank you for everything that you guys do for us.
Thank you.
Yep, stay right there, Chief. So, also wanted to be aware, it is budget season. Chief's, Deputy Chief, Acting Chief is going through that process. Each of the individual next week are the individual department budget meetings. Chief is going to be asking for a new fire engine. So we wanted you to know that that big purchase was there. Just like I said with Chief Smith, it was the big ask is the CSEA, the employees' pay. It's 2 more years away for that contract for our firefighters, but the big ask here is possibly $800,000 to $1 million fire truck that the council's being asked to plan for. And it take 12 to 18 months to get one on order?
Currently, the ones that they have scheduled to go online to be built, that's the quickest that we could get one.
So that actually helps us with the planning process. And so.
And that's due to what we have going on with the one apparatus currently.
Yeah. Okay.
I would like to also thank the fire department for the extra hours they put in. I am aware of that. I do check it, and I do appreciate what they're doing as well. And
We have a great group of guys and girls as well.
Yeah, great. That's great. And I, on the other hand, am not fond of the decoration that's on my side of town. I am not. I'm sorry. I don't find it funny. I find it frightening, and frightening for anybody who doesn't know. Somebody from out of town driving down anywhere around and comes upon that are going to be startled. And the crowd of people that are gathering there, which are many,
Right.
on Friday and Saturday evening, would make you think that there was a live fire there. And I don't approve it. I don't like it. I'm sorry. That's my opinion only.
What's the street? Sorry.
It's on Sanford Street.
Sanford.
Oh, see, great.
Yeah,
77 Sanford.
it's an internal thing, right? Internal
Yes. it's all
thing. So
inside.
it shows flames inside of the
Oh, it
window.
does?
Yeah, and
You
it
think-
shows it inside,
Yeah.
but it's amazing. And
You really
it's
believe
lifelike.
the house
And
is on fire.
when they add the dry
Smoke.
smoke on
Smoke.
the outside, it's
Where's it
you
in
know.
Sanford?
So that's why we
Between Ridge and Bay.
after we got the original
Between
call,
Ridge and
we
Bay.
put out a press release
If you
saying,
go
hey,
out,
everybody be aware,
I
look
believe
twice
Stoddard.
before you call the
You
fire
go out Stoddard and
department.
look
Make
straight
sure that
across,
it's
you'll
really a
look right
fire.
at it.
And then that went viral and has got how many million shares?
2.7.
2.7 million shares. So thank God that was only one false alarm call.
And we haven't gotten that many calls to go back to that residence, so
Yeah,
it's been
yeah.
very good PR, and the word has gotten out, and everybody kind of knows that that's there, so we're literally the first call and the only call we've had to that residence.
Well,
And
he'll
the
have a
owner's been
problem
very
if his
good.
house actually catches fire.
That's
Right.
correct. Maybe the city needs to
Crying
have a
wolf.
waiver.
All right, so
Okay.
thank
And
you.
he has a schedule
Needs
for
to
it,
sign
so
a
that's.
waiver.
Great.
Homeowner needs to sign a waiver.
Make a motion.
Do we have a motion to approve Chief's
So made.
report?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. And so
Thanks,
I think
thanks.
we have a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
And can I make the same?
See you, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you.